driving, they lose focus and look where they shouldn't look, and they're involved in an accident that can create a fatal injury. Just in a moment of distraction. And so it is today, that we need to learn how to remove these distractions in our lives. Let's be honest, how many of us, the first thing we pick up when we wake up in the morning is our cell phones? And the last thing we sometimes put down is our cell phones. And so the reality is all those voices, those no ticks, those followers that were following you are no longer following you on Facebook. And you posted something in the hope that you're going to get such great buy-in. And you're thinking, so they're talking about me, I guess. And all these voices, so you go to bed with all these voices in your head that really becomes distractions. How many of us walk around thinking that there's some suspicious activity happening next door? That our neighbors are watching us. We're being stalked at work. When you walk past the photocopier, you kind of like feel someone's looking. I'm telling you, there is suspicious activity, even at church, because people give you this cute look. I wonder what they've been speaking about me. And so anxiety comes in different forms. And this evening I'm going to speak about a very specific thing that we are anxious about, that we worry about. I'm not going to speak about, are you worried about provision? Are you worried about meeting your budget? Are you concerned about those things, or what you shall eat, what you shall drink, and what you shall wear? I'm specifically going to speak about an anxiety that weighs our hearts down without us sometimes even realizing it. It robs us of our peace. It robs us of our joy. It robs us from a defining moment and becomes a big distraction in our lives. And it's the word paranoia. And you might say, I don't suffer from paranoia. Let me tell you, paranoia knocks on all our hearts and minds at some stage or another when you think someone is speaking about you. So if we look at the word paranoia, it's the unjustified suspicion and mistrust of other people or their actions. You misread. You read into everything and you draw a conclusion that you can't trust that one. Why can't you trust it? I've just got this feeling they've got a hidden agenda against me. If you look at the word paranoia, it's the unwarranted or delusional belief that one is being persecuted, one is being harassed or betrayed by others. How many times do you walk around and see someone is just literally being friendly, but you believe you're being harassed? And their friendliness is just a platform to launch their manipulative plan. I'm telling you, they've got it in for me. And they've been persecuting me. They've been bad-mouthing me. I'm telling you, they've got a plan to wipe me out. I guess they're just going to betray me again, just like I've been betrayed so many times in the past. You can't trust anyone today. And so paranoia steps into play, and it occurs to be part of a mental condition. For some people, they're all at a very high level. For others, maybe at a very low level. But don't sit there saying you've never experienced some form of paranoia, because you've all at some stage or another wondered, are they talking about me? What do they think about me? And what are they talking behind my back? And I guess they're all against me. I'm telling you, everyone at work is against me. Everyone in my family, they're against me. I'm telling you. And because of that, we lose out on defining moments as we are distracted, of course. If you've got your Bibles, we're going to turn to Luke chapter 10 and verse 38. So we're going to read about a story and how an individual allowed paranoia into their lives and how it really affected their atmosphere in the home. Luke chapter 10 and verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. So let's start with this, that the home belonged to Martha. Martha had two siblings, Mary and Lazarus. None of them were married. They did very well. If you look into history, they had a huge guest house with many rooms. So when Jesus arrived, there wasn't just Jesus, it was Jesus and his 12 disciples. And Martha, who is known to be a homeowner, and the word Martha actually means mistress. mistress, and that means I'm in control and I have the authority here. So we must understand the picture here. The one who's in authority opens her home and welcomes Jesus and his disciples into her home. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. Now that too was very foreign. In actual fact, it was against the grain. It was against the Jewish custom that a lady should sit in the lounge by herself with a man. So she was already breaking the custom in their day. It was also wrong in a very man-focused environment for a lady to be sitting and not serving. Her place was supposed to be in the kitchen. And there she is sitting at Jesus' feet. Verse 40. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. You need to understand, they didn't have running water into their kitchen in those days. So as a lady would want to prepare a meal for a group of visitors, she would have to take her bucket, her container, and she would have to walk out of her house in full view of the public and head off to a water well, drop down a goat skin that would then pull up the water, empty it into her container, and she would have to carry this container back. She would then have to go outside, pick up the vegetables, pick up the fruit, bring it inside. They didn't have refrigerators in their day. Everything was made on the day. It was, they're here, let's get to work now. So there's a lot of activity and a lot of preparation. But where was Mary? She wasn't helping. Martha was having to do everything. Have you ever felt like nobody cares when you have to do everything? Like you have an event and everyone's enjoying the bride place and enjoying the get-together, but no one's actually there to help wash the dishes or prepare. And they were a well-known family. So Mary and Martha used to walk together because that was the custom, not of the man, but of the female, of the ladies. The ladies would go and fetch the water. The ladies would go and fetch the vegetables. Where was Mary that day? Sitting in the house with Jesus. And this really started to frustrate Martha, because I can imagine in Martha's mind, paranoia started to set into her mind, because what will the community think about my sister? She's a bit loose today. She's sitting with another man in a lounge by herself, and she's leaving all the work up to me. So what will the community think about her? No. What will the community think about me? Because I'm the mistress. I'm the homeowner. Everyone knows about me in this community. I've achieved pretty well to own my own home. What will people think that I am doing all this by myself? So she came to Jesus and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Jesus, don't you care that my name is at stake here? Don't you care that I'm doing all the running around and you allowing my sister to sit at your feet? You know, it breaks our custom, it breaks the tradition, it breaks our culture. Don't you care that my name is at stake? People don't talk about me. You know, when paranoia sets in, paranoia breaks out in many, many angles. Can you imagine the possibility? Ask Martha when you see her in heaven one day. Martha, I guess you must have sat there or stood there in the kitchen peeling the potatoes wondering, what is Jesus and my sister talking about? I wonder if they're talking about me. I wonder if Mary's having a good offload session. Because you know, we as sisters, we do have our headbutts at times. We don't always see eye to eye. So I wonder if she's talking about me to Jesus. Then I wonder what Jesus is talking to her about me. So I'm going to mess up that little party. Jesus, tell my sister to come and help me, so that I can be in control. I know what is said in my presence, not behind my back. Amazing how paranoia can set in and become voices in your mind. So Jesus says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things. Martha, Martha. Why does he emphasize the word twice? Because Martha, you've lost focus. You're being distracted. This is a defining moment. Martha, if you would only know who I am and who's in your house today, you would stop peeling your potatoes and maybe you would come and sit in this lounge. Because in a Jewish culture, when a man sat down at the feet of a teacher, the man was saying, I am your disciple, you're teaching me. And here, Mary was sitting at the Lord's feet. What was she saying? I know it's against the grain, but I am a disciple of Jesus. He has touched my life, and so I'm sitting at his feet. So you know what? For her, it was a defining moment. So Martha, Martha, you're being distracted with those voices in your head. And Jesus goes straight to the root. He says, it's not about the potatoes being peeled by you alone. It's not even about you having to carry all the water up and down by yourself. It's not even about you having to make this entire meal from scratch. The problem, Martha, with you is that you are worried and upset about many things. Let me tell you about paranoia. It doesn't just exist with worry. It's always worry with an attachment. So she was worried and upset. Because when things don't go according to plan, when you've been betrayed by people, you will never trust people again. So you are worrying about what people are saying, and you're upset about others that have betrayed you in the past. So it's unresolved issues. So you're worried and you're upset about many things. But few things are needed, Martha. Or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. This is a defining moment. Martha, I'm not going to allow your distraction to become her distraction. I'm not going to allow your paranoia to rub off onto her and rob her from this defining moment. If we go to Matthew chapter 13, in Matthew chapter 13 it speaks about a farmer throwing seed. I want to show you something very interesting tonight. He throws seed on the path. Then he throws seed among rocks. And then he threw seed among thorns. And then he threw seed into good soil. Now I want to ask you this question. Can a path, hard ground, grow? Can rocks grow? Can good soil grow? But can thorns grow? So of all four environments, one environment where something grows with you is thorns. And he threw seed among the thorns. And it says in Matthew 13 and verse 7, other seed fell among thorns which grew up. Which grew up? What grew? The thorns grew up with the seed. And the thorns started to choke the growth of the seed and started to choke the plant. And then he brings in the interpretation of that. It says in verse 22, the seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. Now, this is not the worries pertaining to what shall I eat, what shall I drink, what shall I wear. These are the worries of what people are saying behind my back. This is the paranoia of worries and the deceitfulness of wealth. How many people worry about the vehicle that they drive and that everyone's going to laugh at their little whatever? Got to be very careful. I don't want to give any name brands of cars. It could be yours. You're embarrassed to drive your car. When our children were small and we had to take our children through to the little preschool, we lived in a community that was well off, really, really well off. I mean, all the mothers drove BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, double cabs, and here we're coming in with this little Ford Tracer. And next to me, a lady comes in with a BMW, Mercedes, and I'm thinking, hold it together, it's all right, it's just a car. But then you have these voices in your head. What will everyone think about you, about the car you drive? What will everyone think about the outfit you're wearing, about the house you live in? You see, paranoia is always worry and. In Martha, it was worry and upset. In this case, it's worry and the deceitfulness of wealth. Worried about what people think about your wealth and about your status. And it grows up to choke good. So let me tell you what paranoia does. Paranoia doesn't jump on you overnight. It's a thorn that grows with you from stage to stage. When I was a child, I allowed paranoia into my life. And I grew up with a low self-image. I stuttered in front of people. I had a low self-image of myself. I thought 5 times before stepping out of my house, what will people think of me? And God had to strip away that paranoia in my life, what people thought or what people said, and take me on a journey. But paranoia grows on you, and if you allow those voices in your head, ultimately it's going to choke you. And you and I will be unfruitful in this life. How many times, husbands and wives, you climb into your bed at night and you wonder what your husband's thinking about you? And the last thing, he picks up the cell phone and he's like looking at his cell phone. You think, what's he looking at? What's he looking at? And his voices come into your brain and start messing up your brain from a defining moment. You were about to give him some love, and then you think, forget it. Who's he talking to on that phone? And the voices start creeping into your brain. Jesus, help us. Luke 21 and verse 34 says, be careful or your hearts will be weighed down with carousing, drunkenness, and the anxieties of life. That day will close on you suddenly like a trap. Listen carefully. It speaks about a day that's coming. A day when God is going to judge this world. The Bible speaks about that day when Jesus will return. It speaks about the end of the times. That before that day comes, we need to be well prepared. There's going to come that day. If you knew that the thief was breaking into your house right now, you would have been well prepared. You would actually have been there and not here. Correct? You will be prepared for that day. You don't want to be distracted from that very defining day or that defining moment. And here it says, be careful. Look at the category. Carousing, drunkenness, and in the same category, anxieties. It's almost like you feel that anxieties doesn't fit there. It shouldn't be in the same category as drunkenness and carousing. Because what's carousing? Having a good party, drinking it up, having fun, and losing focus, and losing your soberness. What is drunkenness? Losing your soberness. What is losing your soberness? You become intoxicated that you can't think straight. How many people are intoxicated with people's voices and opinions that we're so lost in focus, that we're so anxious, and paranoia sets in, and we're drunk in it. And we lose our soberness. We can't think straight. We presume the whole world's against us. Everything's a conspiracy. You don't trust this one, you don't trust that one. You're actually paranoid about life. And it has grown on you because you've allowed it in your presence. And so it has grown in your mind. And before you know it, you will lose out on those defining moments. Proverbs 12 and verse 25 says quickly, anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. I love the New King James Version. It says that at the root of depression, no matter how many people want to call it whatever they want to call it, the root of depression is anxiety, rooted in the heart of man. And one of the greatest harmful anxieties to have is paranoia. Because paranoia can change you to such a degree that you can become schizophrenic. It can change your outlook, that you can be a split personality. One minute you believe in people, and the very next minute you can't trust anyone. You can't trust any plumber, you can't trust any lawyer until you need one. Amen? 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 to 8. It says, Paul says to Timothy as a young man, for God did not give you a spirit of fear, a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. How many of us have ever quoted that scripture? And we walk around into a stormy situation. God has not given me a spirit of fear. I'm going to face this storm. Do you know what the context of that scripture is? It's in the presence of paranoia. So let's go to verse 8. So Paul says, God's not giving you a spirit of fear, anxiety, timidity. He's not giving you that spirit of paranoia. So do not be ashamed of the testimony about our Lord, or of me, his prisoner. Rather join with me in the suffering for the gospel by the power of God. What is Paul saying? Why is it you're ashamed of being a Christian? That when someone says, so are you a Christian? Yeah, I think so. Sorry, what did you say? Are you a Christian? Yeah, sometimes. Did you say no? What did you say? Why is it we're ashamed of standing for Jesus? Come on now. Because we are paranoid of what our family is going to think about us and what people's going to think about us. If we stand, excuse me, before we eat, can we just thank Jesus for our food? We can't do that because what is the tanny going to say? What the uncle's going to say? So Paul says, no, God's not giving you a spirit of fear. Stand for your faith and don't be ashamed for being a Christian and don't care what people think and say about you. Don't be paranoid. That's not the spirit God has given you. He's giving you a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. But then Paul slips in and says, not just about Jesus, but also about me. How many times you're buddy with a Christian or someone, hey, JD, it's you and me, bro. And then someone else comes and says, hey, I don't know that one. We separate ourselves. We don't want to suddenly, in the eye of the public arena, be associated with someone. We go down the local spa and you go down the aisle and you see your pastor coming. Not that it happens, but to say, oh, there he comes. I think I'm going to go down the other aisle. Then he comes down that same aisle. Yeah, he's stalking me. But we're ashamed of each other. Do you know why we're ashamed of each other? Because we are worried about what people are going to say. Why are you ashamed to hold your wife's hand in public? Walk through that public mall of Hemingway. Take her by the arm and say, this is my wife. I'm not ashamed. Yes. Why is this big gap there? Because you're ashamed. Because what are they going to think? Because my wife has changed, you know. Excuse me, sir, do you know how ugly you look now? She has to think twice to go out with you too. Proverbs 29 verse 25. Oh, may this be the year where God sets us free from this. Verse 25. The fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Luke chapter 12 verse 45 says, I tell you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, and after that can do no more. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who after your body has been killed has authority to throw you into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. Don't fear man. You fear man, it will be a snare to your soul. Do you know how I have found in life? When someone fears man, they're always trying to justify themselves in the presence of man. They're always trying to give a reason for what they're doing, so that no one will talk bad about me, so let me give you. I used to be like that. Paranoid of what people will think about the pastor now. Sitting down in a restaurant and having maybe for the first time a really good meal in a restaurant. But no one knows that it was a voucher that was given to him. But he's judged by the T-bone steak and no reality of, hey, he actually got a voucher. And even if he didn't get a voucher and he paid for his own meal, come on now. Why are we judged? Why are you judged? Why do we rob ourselves from enjoying life because we're just simply worried about what people are going to think and what people are going to say? You end up, do you know what? People end up buying your clothes and spending your money. You wear their clothes. You don't even, what you got on, you don't even like it. You're wearing it because your mother-in-law says it looks nice on you. So you're afraid of her because she's going to ask you, did you wear it? But you can't lie. So I wore it. But do you like it? Not really. But don't tell her. We're paranoid. So Galatians chapter 2, a couple of last stories before I end, and I've got just a few minutes to do it, so bear with me. Galatians chapter 2 and verse 11. Here we find Peter. The same Peter that denied Jesus 3 times. Oh, this Peter had a problem with his life. He always worried. Sometimes it was like, sometimes you didn't worry. Sometimes you just wanted to wipe people out for Jesus. And then suddenly, are you the one of his disciples? No, I'm not one of his disciples. Suddenly you change to always worry what people are going to think about you. Galatians 2 verse 11. When Peter, Cephas, came to Antioch, I opposed them to his face. This is Paul speaking. Because he stood condemned. For before certain men came from James, he used to eat with the Gentiles. But when this group of people arrived, these Jews, Peter began to draw back and separate himself from the Gentiles that he was having a meal with. Because he was afraid of those Jews who belonged to the circumcision group. So the other Jews joined Peter in his hypocrisy, so that by their hypocrisy, even Barnabas, who was another man of God, was led astray. So when I, Paul, saw that they were not acting in line with the truth of the gospel, I said to Peter, I said to Cephas, in front of them all, you are a Jew, yet you live like a Gentile and not like a Jew. How is it then that you force Gentiles to follow Jewish customs? Peter, why are you acting in such a hypocritical manner? Do you know what's at the root of hypocrisy? Someone who's insecure to be the true self. So you try and be someone else. I'm the great pretender. Ooh. Come on now. So we pretend to be someone that we're not. So I'm going to hang out with the Gentiles. But when those guys walked in, the Jews, I separated myself from the Gentiles and I said, I don't know that group. I wasn't even with them. Hey guys, I said, how you doing? No, I wasn't with them. Why are you lying? Why are you a hypocrite? Because you're worried about what those guys are going to talk about you hanging out with those guys. Are you with me? And let me tell you, you hang around paranoid people too long, their paranoia rubs off onto you. So when Peter was being paranoid and separated himself, the Bible says a whole number of other people also did exactly what Peter did. Left their group and followed Peter in his hypocrisy. Then even another man of God stood there thinking, hey, I think I better join the club. If I don't join that group, I'm going to hang out with this group. And then what will they talk about me? You know, if I go with Peter and if I go with that group, I'm going to hang out with them. Then they won't speak bad about me, so I'm going to hang out with them. How many of us are behaving like that at times? Because paranoia rubs off onto you. Numbers chapter 13, verse 32 to 33. Quickly, before I close, listen to this. The Israelites are about to go into their promised land. They had come through the wilderness and they're about to go into their promised land. Impact Family Church, you are about to go into your promised land this year. Amen. We've been through the wilderness. Oh my word, we have. But this is the year we're about to go into our promised land. We're going to have defining moments, but we're going to have to be very careful because we're worried. What are people thinking about us right now having church at 5 o'clock? What are people going to think about us when sometimes our services are so? Where's everyone? Or this, or, you know, why isn't that one at church? We get paranoid, and we have no idea what's happening in their lives sometimes, or we think we know what's happening in people's lives. You go to work and you think, last year everybody at work was for us. I got a feeling this year that everybody at work is against us, or against me. And it will always happen just before a breakthrough. Just before you're about to step into your promised land, paranoia will seize you to stop you, to distract you from entering into the blessings of God. And so here, it says in Numbers 13 verse 32, and they spread among the Israelites a bad report about their land that they had explored. The leaders had gone into the promised land, explored it, and came back with a report to tell the nation, listen to the news. They said, the land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the giants, the Nephilim, who were also in the land. Verse 33, we seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Listen carefully. We looked like grasshoppers in their eyes. Were they told that they were grasshoppers? No. They were paranoid, because at the root of paranoia is a very insecure person who feels very inferior, doesn't feel good enough that everyone is better than them. So they felt like a grasshopper in the presence of others. And then makes a statement. Listen to the statement. As we looked like grasshoppers in their eyes. Who said that they actually saw you as grasshoppers? No one. You are presuming it. You are paranoid. You think that they're laughing at you. You think that they're looking at you as uneducated, not capable. You are playing yourself down because you're already believing what they're thinking when you don't even know it's true. Simon, please help me. Skip the next verse. A couple of verses. I want you to go straight to my points. So I'm going to speak about Samuel another Sunday. I want to end the service. So go straight to my points, please. So can I say this to you before I give you my points in the last 2-3 minutes? The Bible does declare that we should be anxious about nothing, But in everything, we should come before God and present our requests before Him with thanksgiving. And then God gives us His peace. Amen. Do you know why paranoia creeps on us and then grows on us? Is that we don't know how to deal with it, and we don't talk to God about it and give it to God and allow Him to work in our lives. We need to learn to cast our anxieties unto the Lord because He cares. So here's my last pointers. Are you ready? Hallelujah. I've been preaching for 33 minutes, like 2 minutes to go. We can nail this. I will survive and you will survive. Here we go. What are the contributing factors? The contributing factors to you becoming paranoid about love. Number one, you've got a scar of rejection. Somewhere in your life you've been rejected. Someone has hurt you. Remember back at school when they were choosing the teams? You choose, I choose, and then you're the last person still standing there hoping that someone will choose you. And then the one captain says to the other captain, no, you can have him. And then that captain says, no, you can have him. And then, oh, we do need a water bottle guy, you know. You can be the water bottle guy. Go and stand on the side. Do you know what? That is rejection. You're not good enough to be in any team. You just go and stand there. How many of us have been scarred with rejection? And when we don't know how to deal with our rejection, we'll become paranoid about being rejected again. So when anyone befriends you, you misread their friendliness as manipulation, and you could be losing out on a wonderful opportunity of making a good friend, but you're judging them through the scars of your rejection. Number two, another contributing factor is unresolved issues. Martha, you're upset about many things. There are a lot of things in your life that's unresolved. You're carrying hurt, bitterness. You know, sometimes we still speak about events of the past, thinking it's part of our testimony. Let me tell you, it's still part of your problem, because when you talk about it, you're not testifying, you're telling everyone about your past problem in the hope that they're actually going to sympathize with you. And if you're looking for sympathy, that means you're still hurting. That means you're still broken. That means you haven't overcome. And that's why the story is still in your testimony. But it's time to resolve those issues. Stop being bitter about your mother-in-law. Just love her with a prayer for now. Number three, another contributing factor to paranoia is wrong company. Hang out with negative people, you become negative. Hang out with people, it's going to be another year, just like last year. Guess what, you're going to walk around with the same old attitude. I guess it's going to be another year, just like last year. It rubs off on, oh, I'm telling you, everyone's looking at you in this business. I'm telling you, I walk in as the boss, and everyone's looking at me. I'm telling you. I guess they've all put out their CVs already. You can't trust any of these men. Why? Because you've been hurt before, and you hang out in the wrong company. Number four, another contributing factor, lack of identity. People who don't know who they are become paranoid. So they cut their hair and change their fashion because they want to fit the club and not be their true self, because they don't know who the true self is. They've lost themselves in the process. I don't think I know if I'm a man or if I'm a female. I guess let me try and be a man now and I'll be a female tomorrow, and let's see where we go. You must say, Pastor, are you really going there? Yes, I'm going there. A lot of paranoid people are changing their sex life and changing their agendas for life because they don't know who they are. But my pastor just say that? Absolutely. Paranoia can rob you from your identity. Amen? Amen. What are the growing signs? This is going to help you to know when paranoia is creeping on you. Number one, you start to develop a life of hypocrisy. You know what a life of hypocrisy is? You pretend and you know you're not being true. You're telling a lie and you're covering it up instead of speaking it as it is. You're someone at home, someone different at work, someone different at church, and someone different with friends. When you know that you are kicking into I'm the great pretender, you know paranoia is knocking on your door. Number two, another growing sign is when you are enslaved by people's opinions. Why do you make decisions based on what others think is best for you? They impose their opinions on you. And now you want to please them because you have the fear of man. And now you're worried that if you say no, they're going to go and tell everybody. And I guess it hits the grapevine of East London and everyone knows everything in East London. Number four, another growing sign is when we become double-minded. 1 minute is this, next minute is that. 1 minute you're hot, next minute you're cold. 1 minute you love, next minute you hate. You're so double-minded on a situation, and that brings about instability, and you lose your soberness, and you can't make a righteous decision, and you lose your defining moment. And so as we end, how do we overcome? Steps to overcome. Are you ready? Number 1. Simple. Can you start finding evidence before you accuse your husband? It's simple. Do your homework. Find the evidence before you accuse your children. Before you accuse anyone at work. Just find the evidence, because everything up until then is speculation. It's presumption. It's just a good feeling. It could actually be a bad feeling. Or it's just paranoia. Deal with the paranoia by just simply going to them and say, excuse me, are you talking about me? They can either say yes or no. And then don't say, oh, but I guess they're just going to say no because they're covering up, because now they're afraid. Now you see, you're paranoid about even asking the question, and so now you become paranoid about that. So you're just so enslaved. Find the evidence and deal with it. Number 2, choose the voices to listen to. Why don't we listen to godly counsel? Can I ask you, why don't we listen to godly counsel? But we're rather going to ask our buddy who gets drunk every Friday night and has the whole weekend to actually sober up, and then ask him in the midst of his drinking for advice. Really? Boom! What did he say? I think he said I must go for it. I'm going to go for it. Number 3. Time with God. You know what we never deal with our paranoia? Let's be honest, we don't spend time with God. We don't pray as we should. We don't talk to Him as we should. We don't spend time in His Word as we should. This is not becoming legalistic. It's being a Christian. Yeah. Do you know going to church just liberates certain things in your life? This is healthy living. I want to salute every single one of you for coming tonight. And if you don't come next time, that's fine. We still love you. I'll meet you in the spa. I'll hunt you down. But well done for coming to church. You need to hear those words. Well done. You didn't come for me. You came for Him. Amen. This is what He wants from you. This is what He wants from me. Don't make it personal. Don't make it about me. Don't make it about the person behind you. Otherwise you'll never come back because you're paranoid. Just make time for God this year. Can I just be straight, right? I feel the urge to do it. Who wants to make time for God this year? Please, only do it because you want to. You want to make time for God this year. Number 4. Deal with your paranoia. Learn to forgive. Learn to forget. And learn to forbear. There are certain things you must just forgive. If you don't forgive, your bitterness is going to eat you up and you will live in your paranoia forever. Number 2, just learn to forget. How do you forget? Stop talking about it. You keep regurgitating what your past this one does, and that one did, and that one. Maybe you see that your past is revisiting you. You become paranoid about your future because of your past. Stop talking about your past. It feeds your paranoia. Why talk about it? Oh, I'm using it as a testimony. No, you're not. You're feeding your paranoia. Oh, Jesus, help us. And then learn to forbear people. If you've got a problem with your boss, or your employee, or your neighbor, well, you can't wish them away. I guess they bought the house next to you. But you just need to say, God, give me the forbearance. Give me the forbearance. Give me the patience. I can't do this without you. Sometimes I want to strangle. But can you just help me and give me the grace? I don't know about you, but I'm challenged with this word tonight. I know I've preached just over 35 minutes. But I really believe that we need to hear this message at the start of a new year. Don't let paranoia reign in your heart. Don't get distracted. Be you. Be the best you that you can be. Live out your dreams. You got this life once to live. Don't let others live it for you. You live it. You enjoy it. God has given it to you. And everybody says, amen. Let's bow our heads together.